This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Now at 5 on Good Morning Indiana, incarcerated Hoosiers have a path to a new future thanks to a prison program teaching them valuable job skills.
Plus, Purdue University President Mitch Daniels is apologizing after making a controversial comment about an African-American scholar.
And for kids with autism, communication can be hard. Our Kelsey Anderson tells us how one Central Indiana program is helping some Hoosier kids find their voice. I can't wait to see that story.
That is going to be
on this Friday, December the 6th. Welcome to Good Morning Indiana. I'm Rafael Sanchez.
And I'm Meredith Barrick, meteorologist Todd Clausen here. And Todd, we are so lucky. Yesterday's weather was fantastic. Gypsy and I went on a nice long walk. She was smiling the whole way. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to break it to her here. Over the next few days, things are going downhill.
Yeah, you know, well, the weekend's not bad. It's not 50 and sunny like yesterday.
But it's not going to stay like this for the rest of the month.
It's not going to stay like this for the rest of the month. Yeah, that is correct. Bonus day yesterday for the month of December. This morning, as you walk out the door, we are dealing with just a few hit-or-miss sprinkles on Storm Team 6 radar. You can see them making their way through central Indiana. It's a little more of what we'll call a light, steady rain once you get down into the Bedford area over towards Seymour, but from Indianapolis to the north, it's a sprinkle or two. It'll barely wet the road, so it's not really going to impact your morning drive. However, you are driving south, you are going to run into more in the way of showers, so keep that in mind if you're heading down into southern Indiana or Kentucky this morning. Otherwise, the temperatures when you walk out the door are not bad whatsoever. We're in the 40s and 50s, so it's a little cooler to the north. 43 right now in Tipton, 44 in Peru compared to 50s from Martinsville to Bloomington at 51. Sullivan's also at 51 degrees. So the one thing that you'll notice throughout the morning hours is the clouds are going to hang pretty tough. We're not going to see much in the way of sunshine this morning. However, they will start to thin out as the afternoon goes on, and by 3, 4 o'clock, I do think the skies will be mostly sunny across the area. Temperature-wise, we don't really do a whole lot. We'll generally stay right around 45 degrees here throughout much of the day. The time now is 5:02. Let's get a look at the roadways.
Todd, thank you. This is a live look at I-65 at Keystone Avenue on the south side. Only a few cars in that area this morning. No issues on the roadways right now.
The time now is 5:02, and new this morning, fire investigators in Noblesville, they're trying to figure out the cause of a massive fire near an auto body shop. Take a look. That fire started around 7:30 last night behind American Eagle Body Shop. That's on Allisonville Road. You can see the fire heavily damaged that building, and right now firefighters have not said where the flames started.
Also new this morning, Purdue President Mitch Daniels has apologized after referring to an African-American scholar as, quote, one of the rarest creatures in America. According to the Journal and Courier, the comment was made last month while students were questioning Daniels about campus diversity initiatives. Wednesday, Daniels issued an apology letter to several campus organizations that represent minority students, saying in part, I retract and apologize for a figure of speech I used in a recent impromptu dialogue with students. I accept accountability for the poor judgment involved, end quote.
Let's talk politics. The Republican supermajority in the Indiana State House has not shown signs that the Red for Ed rally really swayed them to increase funding for education. The Associated Press reports teachers' unions and Democrats are calling for the legislature to direct some of the unexpected $400 million growth in the state's cash reserves to schools. That's instead of adopting Governor Eric Holcomb's proposal for using much of that money to pay for construction projects. Thursday, Republican legislative leaders argued that directing some of that money to schools now would commit the state to a higher level of school funding for future years.
RTV6's Hiring Hoosiers is how we focus on getting you connected with jobs, skills, and educational resources. The Last Mile program helps incarcerated Hoosiers find work after their release. It started in 2014 and teaches men and women who are serving time software coding and design. Thursday, some students got the chance to present their work to Ivanka Trump as she visited the Indiana Women's Prison. They also explained just how much the program means to them.
We all learn how to work in a team, how to collaborate ideas and problem solve, and become mentors to others. I learned how to put my best foot forward, be the best me that I can be.
Inmates who want to participate in the program must have good behavior for at least 18 months, write an essay, take a test, and interview. They also must be at least 3 years away from getting released.
The hundreds of pending misdemeanor marijuana cases have been dismissed in Marion County. That's the result of the new prosecutor's decision not to prosecute misdemeanor pot possession charges for less than 1 ounce. RTV6 has learned that since the announcement back on September the 30th, more than 325 pending cases have been dismissed.
Muncie is the latest central Indiana city that will have a new police chief in the new year. Chief Joe Winkle plans to leave the department December 30th. His departure comes as federal authorities investigate several Muncie police officers for alleged police brutality. Chief Winkle says his departure has nothing to do with that and that he was planning to retire at the end of the year anyway. Meanwhile, the department is also facing several excessive force lawsuits. In addition to Muncie, earlier this week, Beech Grove announced Police Chief Mark Swartz will retire on January 1st after 8 years in the position. And last week, Indianapolis announced IMPD Chief Brian Roach will retire at the end of the year. Mayor Joe Hunks had appointed Roach chief in January of 2017. Here at 5:06, for some children living with autism, everyday tasks can be difficult, including something you and I do for a living, verbally communicate with the world around us.
And that's why Central Indiana Autism Center is working to help kids who are nonverbal communicate with their families. Our Kelsey Anderson joins us live in studio this morning with more on this program. And Kelsey, I'm going to have to admit, I've been waiting to see the story all week, so take it away.
Well, I'm very excited about this story, and coming up in the next half hour is the big story. But Cornerstone Autism Center is doing this by bringing American Sign Language into their center to help the non-vocal communicate in a way that works best for them. Board-certified behavior analyst Stephanie Dilly-Huggins tells me she grew up in a deaf home. Both her dad and her brother are deaf, so she's been around sign language her entire life. When she started working at Cornerstone as a BCBA, she realized she could help some of her clients by teaching them sign language. Since bringing Sign to the center in 2013, Dilly-Huggins says she's seen several kids reach huge milestones in communication.
So we've actually had several clients that they started out as non-vocal, they learned signs, and then the vocals came later, and now they're using actual vocal speech to communicate.
Says her job is most rewarding when she gets to see a child sign to their mom and dad for the first time and be able to tell them, "I love you." Coming up in the next half hour, you'll hear from one mother who says because of Cornerstone, her and her son can now communicate in full sentences. Raphael.
Kelsey, can't wait to see the story. A big honor for the Indianapolis Children's Museum. Time for Kids magazine has just named it one of the world's 50 coolest places. The list shines a light on the most educational, innovative, and fun destination for kids. It's broken down by places to play, places to learn, places to explore, and places to eat. The Children's Museum landed in the Places to Learn section. Nominations were made from young readers around the world through the Time for Kids Kid Reports.
This holiday season, you can give the gift of a forever home to a dog or cat that desperately needs a family to love them. Indianapolis Animal Care Services announced its Home for the Holidays adoption campaign. For the rest of December, IACS will waive adoption fees with the donation of an item from the shelter's wish list. That includes dry and wet cat and dog food, kitty litter, paper towels, hand sanitizers, Kongs, Jolly Balls, and Nyla Bones.
A Christmas gift to you from Indigo, the Board of Directors approving free rides on Christmas and New Year's Eve. The agency says no fare will be charged on all local and rapid transit routes on Christmas Day and New Year's Eve. Rides will be free system-wide from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. Indigo says it wants to give everyone in the city a safe and accessible travel option this holiday season. The time now is 5:09. Let's check in your forecast with our guy, Todd Clausen. What's happening?
As you walk out the door here, Raphael, it's Friday, the last day of the work week, obviously, and we're walking out to decent weather. There are some spotty showers out there that you'll have to contend with this morning. For some of you, it's mainly in southern locations, but everybody is dealing with the clouds. So it's not the brightest start to our Friday here across the area with temperatures that will be in the mid-40s, but it's not a terrible start. It looks a lot worse on radar than it actually is. From Indy to the north and then off to the east, this This is just a few isolated sprinkles. Once you get south of Bloomington here, it's a little more of a steady rainfall that is going to be moving through southern Indiana. So Bloomington, say to Columbus southward, you'll deal with some light rainfall for your commute this morning and as the kids head off to school. But other than that, this wave moves through pretty quick. As we go throughout the day, the clouds decrease. So you just have to be a little bit patient here today. We'll go from cloudy skies this morning to partly sunny skies this afternoon. As far as temperatures, we're basically at our highs right now. We'll hold pretty steady throughout the day into the 40s from Indianapolis to the north, about 51 in Bloomington. We'll talk more about your weekend forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. We'll look ahead to that. A newly released video showing the final moments of a teen who died in border control custody is now sparking fierce backlash. Straight ahead, why one lawmaker is calling that teen's death a homicide.
Apple's latest iPhone comes with a lot of new technology, but some of it is unwanted. Coming up, the new privacy concern that has the company under fire.
Days from 4:30 to 7.
And time to check your traffic on this Friday morning. A live look from our in-dot camera at I-65 at 30th Street. As you can see, traffic is moving really well for this morning. A good morning to our friends in Plainfield, Edinburgh, and Lapel.
This morning, the investigation into a deadly helicopter crash continues. 3 National Guardsmen died Thursday after their Black Hawk crashed in St. Cloud, Minnesota, just minutes after takeoff. Officials say the chopper took off from its base on Thursday afternoon. About 9 minutes later, according to emergency radio calls, the Mayday was called in. At that point, the helicopter was 10 to 15 miles southwest of its base. It was later found entangled in trees on a farm. All 3 people on board died. Their names have not yet been released. The Minnesota National Guard says the aircraft was conducting a maintenance test flight when contact was lost.
The time now is 5:14, and let's talk about this young man. The death of this teenager in Border Patrol custody is really sparking backlash and criticism. He'd been sick with the flu and is seen collapsing in this video you're about to see. Now lawmakers are demanding accountability. ABC's chief national correspondent Matt Gutman joins us now, and we want to warn you, some of the following images may be disturbing.
That disturbing new video, the last minutes of a 16-year-old's life in a Border Patrol cell. On May 19th, a week after Carlos Vasquez crossed into the U.S., a nurse at this processing facility diagnosed him with the flu. He had a fever of 103. He was to be reassessed in 2 hours and hospitalized if symptoms worsened. Border Patrol officials took him to a quarantine facility in a small Texas town where he was put into a cell with concrete slabs and foil sheets, as you can see in this video obtained by ProPublica, which broke the story. Vasquez from Guatemala is obviously suffering. He writhes on the concrete, then crashes to the floor where he lays for several minutes. He eventually musters the strength to shuffle to the toilet. Once there, he collapses. Then the video the Border Patrol gave local police investigating the case goes black for the next 4 hours. When it returns, Vasquez's cellmate, who also has the flu, wakes to find him unresponsive and alerts the guards. Lawmakers demanding accountability.
I think it was negligent homicide. It is completely unacceptable for a 16-year-old child to die of the flu.
Current and former Border Patrol officials tell me the agency was overwhelmed at the time with migrants. Now, the agency still insists that welfare checks were conducted on that boy. However, the video seems to indicate otherwise. Matt Gutman, ABC News, Los Angeles.
There's more legal trouble for R. Kelly. The singer is now facing a bribery charge in New York. According to an indictment filed Thursday, he bribed a public officer to create a fake ID for Jane Doe #1. The woman's identity has not been revealed, but it is believed to have been for singer Aaliyah. The two got married when she was just 15 and R. Kelly was 27. The marriage certificate listed her age as 18. Kelly is already facing numerous sexual abuse charges, some dating back to 1999. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges against him.
So have you seen this on your Facebook feed? This is just crazy. A crazy accident caught on camera in Florida shows an airborne vehicle crash landing at a car dealership. Authorities say the car's driver became dizzy. There you go. Lost control, hitting an embankment. That car flew roughly 139 feet through the air, Dukes of Hazzard style. For those of you who used to watch that TV show, landing in the middle of this Lincoln dealership. Several people nearby witnessed the whole thing, but thankfully, no one was hurt. Wow. Wow, this morning.
Well, and take a look at this. A doorbell camera captured a meteor flying over southeast Texas.
Whoa.
The giant fireball hurled across the sky Thursday morning. Multiple people reported seeing a bright flash of light just before sunrise. In fact, the American Meteor Society website received at least 50 reports from Texas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana. According to the American Meteor Society, fireballs like the one seen Thursday typically enter the atmosphere at speeds of up to 160,000 miles per hour.
That's cool.
Hope anyone who saw that in real time made a nice big wish.
I need a ring door thing now to capture all that stuff happening in the sky.
Not to capture porch pirates, just to capture.
I don't care about porch pirates, just what's happening in the sky.
So you can see a shooting star.
Yeah.
All right, Todd. Well, if I could make a wish upon a shooting star right now, it would be that we could keep the temperature, the sunshine, all of what we've had here over the past day or so.
Unfortunately, I'm not a genie and I cannot grant that wish to you. But we do have decent weather as we head into the weekend. That is the good news. Yeah, yesterday was beautiful, 50 and completely sunny with light winds, a great December day. This morning, there's a few spotty showers out there. Temperatures are nice and mild, though, this morning. Yesterday, we started off in the 20s and got to 50. We're at 48 right now in Indianapolis, and the temperatures are going to hold pretty steady here throughout the morning hours, and then it'll start to fall as we get into the afternoon hours, but it's not a drastic fall. They just slowly start to go in a downward direction. As far as the rain this morning on Storm Team 6 radar, some scattered showers from Shoals to Bedford, just south of Seymour as you work your way to the north through Indianapolis, then up into portions of Tipton, Alexandria, Muncie, over to Portland and Winchester. There's a few just hit or miss sprinkles, and that's just about it. These will not hamper your morning commute whatsoever. If you're driving down into Kentucky, though, that's where the showers will be a little more numerous, so keep that in mind. As far as the clouds, they are in place this morning. The temperature sits at 49 degrees, just a light wind out of the southwest, which is now picked up to 15 miles per hour, so it's become a little more breezy this morning. But 50s in Martinsville as well as Sullivan and Bloomington, 45, and Crawfordsville, 48 is the current temperature as you make your way into Muncie. So morning clouds will give way to some sunshine in the afternoon. Probably mid-afternoon onward, skies will really start to clear, but look what happens when the skies actually do start to clear. The temperatures will go down a little bit. 43 degrees by 4 p.m., which, by the way, it's cooler, but it's still above the normal high of 42. And then if you have plans this evening, temperatures will be falling back down into the 30s, so grab the jacket. As far as the weekend goes, Saturday is the better day because it's completely dry. As we get into Sunday, the clouds will increase, and late Sunday showers will develop. But this is Monday, and Monday's the day that will bring in more of a light but steady rainfall across the area. So we're targeting Monday as the wettest day in our extended forecast. It's a day as you kick off the next work week that you probably want to have the umbrella handy. And it could end as a few isolated snow showers on Tuesday, but at that point, most of the moisture is out of central Indiana, so we're not expecting any accumulation. But behind that storm system, much colder air for Wednesday and Thursday with high temperatures only in the 20s.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. As we take a look at your traffic this morning, good morning to Noblesville, Franklin, and Lawrence. And let's stay there on the city's northeast side here in the Lawrence area at I-70 at Post Road. As you can see, traffic is looking really fantastic this morning. Those of you working there at DFAS or for Lawrence Township Schools, it's going to be a great morning there on the city's northeast side.
Apple is responding to a report that claims its new iPhone 11 tracks users even if they turn their location off. The company says the activity was related to its new ultra-wideband technology. According to Apple, the technology lets phones check to see if they're being used in countries where Apple hasn't yet received approval to launch ultra-wideband. Apple said it plans to release a new iOS update that will include an option to disable the technology.
It is time for a Good Morning Indiana makeover, Meredith. Are you ready for this? Because fast food fans hoping to supersize their wardrobes for the holidays are in great luck. McDonald's is launching an online store filled with merchandise that celebrates the restaurant and its products. Who would not want those socks? Todd Clausen wants those socks. Golden Arches Unlimited hosts a collection of items that include Big Mac sandwich bags, French fry socks, and a sesame seed umbrella. There's also a seasonal section. Need to decorate your tree? Why not pick up a Mickey D's ornament for Lauren Casey, or rock your holiday party with this green golden arches emblazoned. Now, some people would say it's ugly, but I think for some it would be a unique knitted sweater. Items range in price from, this is your price range, Meredith, from $10 to $65. That part is steep free. For the $10, you could get some
I can find a coupon code, I'm sure. All right. Well, I cannot wait for this next story. It is a sweet show of support for one Michigan boy on a very special day. Coming up, why a group of kindergartners took over a courtroom to cheer on their little friend. I'm going to need a tissue for this one, Rob.
And the Indiana Bureau of Motor Vehicles is making some changes after being accused of discrimination. We'll tell you about the moves they're making in order to be more inclusive. That and much more coming up right here on Good Morning Indiana.
Pair of glasses and get 40% off your second pair.
A Michigan boy was so excited to be adopted that he invited his entire kindergarten class to share the big day with him. 5-year-old Michael has been living with his foster parents, Dave and Andrea, for a year. Thursday, they were able to make it official, finalizing his adoption. And oh boy, he is moving with excitement there. The new family, Michael's entire class waving big red hearts mounted on wooden sticks to show their support. Oh, look at him jumping for joy. He posed for pictures with his new parents and then his classmates. The group even got an early visit from Santa. In total, 36 kids were adopted Thursday as part of the 23rd annual Adoption Day event in Kent County there. I saw this all over social media yesterday. Every single time I saw it, I got tears in my eyes because the lesson those little boys and girls learned that day is one that cannot be taught in a classroom.
So Mrs. S teaches kindergarten.
Yes.
And I must tell you that you learn a lot from 5-year-olds. A lot of love in those classrooms. And we could all just take a moment to visit a kindergarten class and read to those classes. You could learn a lot from those young people who are just all about love. And they just know nothing different. And so congratulations to that school and that family. And wow.
What a fantastic early Christmas present for them. That is wonderful. All right, Todd. Sunshine ahead.
We love you.
We
love you.
I love you guys too, and everybody else. A few showers this morning with temperatures that are fairly mild. 51 in Bloomington, 44 in Kokomo. These showers move out pretty quick, and then we'll be left with clearing skies this afternoon. So it gets brighter as the day goes on. We'll talk more about that forecast when Good Morning Indiana continues. Stay with us. We'll be back in a few.
Today at 10 on RTV6. This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
So now at 5:30 here on Good Morning Indiana, the Indiana BMV is making a change after settling a discrimination lawsuit. The steps they're now taking to improve the driver's manual.
And for some kids with autism, communicating can be very difficult. Our Kelsey Anderson will show you how one Central Indiana program is helping kids and families bridge that gap. It's 5:30 here on your Friday morning. Thanks so much for joining us to wrap up the week. I'm Meredith Barrick.
I'm Rafael Sanchez, and behind us is the amazing view that I love every morning. I love our city. I love Central Indiana. And this is just one of those things that goes, hey, wow, should be on a postcard. Our Todd Clausen should be on a postcard, even though it's a little cooler today.
Yeah,
we still love you.
You know, cooler as far as high temperatures go. But as you walk out the door, it's actually warmer this morning than it was 24 hours ago. So that's kind of a little bit of a trade-off. So what do you need to grab before you go? Well, I checked the sunglasses. You definitely do not need those this morning, but you will need them later on this afternoon. So you may want to have them handy. The jacket and your outdoor workout's good to go. I did not check the umbrella, even though there are a few isolated showers out there on Storm Team 6 radar, and you can see them streaming through the area. It's nothing more than a few sprinkles from Indianapolis to the north. Once you get from, say, Bedford over towards Seymour and points to the south, it's a little more of a light, steady rain, but that only impacts those of you who live there or if you are traveling south this morning. And it's just part of a system that is in southern portions of the country that is scooting off towards the east. So it's not a major storm, major player, but just don't be shocked if you see a few raindrops on your windshield here this morning. I know I had a few on my way into work this morning. So morning clouds, and then eventually the clouds decrease mid-afternoon, and by late afternoon, we're into the sunshine. You just have to be patient with those steady temperatures in the mid-40s.
Thanks, Todd. Time to check the road system. Of course, good morning to Kokomo, Greenfield, and Brownsburg. Let's stay to the west here at I-70, west of High School Road. On our INDOT cameras, you can see traffic is building at this time at 5:33. No major problems to report this morning. Good morning, Indiana, to you.
After being accused of discrimination, the Indiana Bureau of Motor Vehicles is making some changes to its driver's manual. The BMV says it's translating the manual into Arabic, Burmese, Chin, and Mandarin. Right now, it is only available in English and Spanish. The change is welcomed by many in our community, including those at the Burmese American Community Institute. Most of the estimated 22,000 native Burmese speakers here in Indy are trying to learn English, but that takes time. One of the teachers in this English class says this change will benefit a lot of people, especially those who may be a little bit older and are having a harder time learning English.
It would be really helpful for our parents, and we are so grateful that they can translate it in our native language.
A BMV spokesperson says they hope to have the manual translations done by March 1st, 2021.
And now in Hamilton County, and new this morning, fire investigators in Noblesville are trying to figure out the cause of this massive fire at an auto body shop. That fire started around 7:30 last night behind the American Eagle Body Shop that's on Allisonville Road. You can see the fire heavily damaged that building, and right now firefighters have not said what caused or where that fire started.
An Anderson man confessed to police that he dropped 2 bikes from an I-69 overpass in Madison County because he wanted to kill people. Police say Stephen Davis was arrested and charged with criminal recklessness. According to court documents, Davis told police that he hated everyone and was upset he got evicted from his home. The 32-year-old also told investigators that he regretted not causing a 10-car pileup. Davis is scheduled to appear in court in January. 2 former executives of an Indianapolis trucking company are charged with conspiracy and fraud and causing a stock loss of more than $60 million. The former COO and CFO of Celadon face about 10 counts each of conspiracy, wire fraud, securities fraud, and making false statements. They're accused of trading away older trucks to get newer ones and intentionally inflating the prices on the invoices. U.S. Attorney Josh Winkler says they betrayed the trust of their investors by lying about the financial information.
The financial system, our markets in this country, our pensions, our nest eggs are built on that trust.
Both men were arrested on Thursday morning and then released on bail.
RTV6 is getting answers for people who reached out to us for help, saying they're being forced to live with major sewage and mold problems. Richard Mount has lived at the Diplomat Apartments in Beech Grove for 40 years. He doesn't want to move, but says he has been living with standing sewage in his apartment for 2 weeks. He says the terrible smell of the soaking wet carpet makes it hard to breathe in his own home.
It's like you have to beg them and crawl to get them to do anything. This is not only a nightmare, it's a living nightmare.
Management tells RTV6 they are working with the health department and that repairs will take time because the building has been around since the 1960s. We are waiting to learn what the health department might do to help those residents.
The time now is 5:36, 48 degrees here in Indianapolis. A new safe haven safety box is being installed in Frankfort. It will be located at the Frankfort Fire Department headquarters. That's on South Clay Street. Under the Safe Haven law, the baby box, it allows people to anonymously surrender their newborn without fear of criminal prosecution. This will be the 17th baby box in the state and the 21st in the country. So far this year, 7 babies have been safely surrendered in Indiana using the boxes.
Every child living with autism deserves to be able to communicate with the world around them in the way that best fits them.
Living with autism can be different for everyone. Some can live a so-called normal life, while others need help with everyday tasks that some of us may just take for granted.
One of them being the ability to verbally communicate with others. Our Kelsey Anderson joins us this morning with one local organization working to bring the ability to communicate to everyone in their center. Kelsey.
At Cornerstone Autism Center, young people with autism get one-on-one therapy. They work on things like social skills, life skills, and communication, which can be very hard for some kids living with autism. Now, because the child in this story is deaf, we wanted to have his board-certified behavior analyst sign it for him. You'll see her at the bottom of your screen, but we want to note she is not a licensed interpreter.
I love you too.
Laura Coates' son, Sora, was born deaf.
When he was really little, we had a really hard time communicating I would do kind of body gestures, just kind of like holding up food. Do you want to eat this?
She says finding a deaf school for Sora was hard enough, but when he was diagnosed with autism, it was even harder for her to find the right place for Sora to soar.
It was definitely an emotional time because at first you think like maybe there's something wrong with your child and is it your fault? And you want to fix the problem right away.
Luckily, she says she found Cornerstone Autism Center, and now her and Sora are able to communicate through sign language. The center added sign language in 2013 when BCBA Stephanie Dilly-Huggins thought it would help some of her clients who were non-vocal.
I am not an ASL teacher, but with my background, I teach signs that are relevant to our children that are here in the center.
Dilly-Huggins says right now in the state of Indiana, there are limited applied behavior analysis services for deaf children living with autism. But she's glad she can at least make an impact in the clients at Cornerstone.
To watch our clients grow, their families grow, and have families come to me and say, Steph, I knew there was so much in my child that I just never thought we would have been able to unlock, and signing has done that for us.
Coate says with her son being deaf and living with autism, she was scared. But now she says even if she could, she wouldn't change it.
I think with him having autism, it makes him so creative, outside the box thinker. It really makes him a unique little person.
You can use sign language in your home even if your child has the ability to hear. Dilly-Huggins says when you add sign to speech, research shows it activates both sides of the brain.
Kelsey, thank you so much. You know what I love about this story is the fact that you have people who are opening doors for those who would not normally be able to communicate. And so using sign language or however you communicate to actually help someone, that to me really is the story of the week for me anyway.
Yes,
just to see
that is going to change the lives of a lot of young men and women. Kelsey, we appreciate you sharing that story with us this morning.
Kelsey, thank you so much. So Christmas trees are in short supply this season. That could put a damper on your holiday cheer, but it also has some serious consequences. You see, fewer trees make it harder on tree farmers who, as you can imagine, they depend on these sales to make a living. A Lost 40 tree farm in Hancock County has already sold all of its trees. Owner Kathleen Wentz says a severe drought in 2012 killed many of the trees that would be ready to sell this year. And then Samble's tree farm in Fortville says it still has some in stock, but you might have to settle for a smaller selection.
We have an 8 to 12 year crop, so it's not like if you lose one year, you can catch right back up again the next year. It's going to take us, 2 or 3 years to really get going again.
I think there's more of a tight supply than a shortage. I think everyone can come out and still get a tree when they go to a farm. It may have to be a little smaller than last year. It might even have to be a different species.
So let's put this in perspective. Samble's has ordered pre-cut trees from out of state to keep up with the demand.
Speaking of Christmas trees, there are going to be a lot more presents under the Christmas trees of Hoosier children, thanks to all of you who donated during our toy drive on Monument Circle yesterday. We collected so many great gifts for kids this holiday season. Now, if you missed the event, don't worry, there is still time to donate. We'll be holding another event tomorrow from 11 to 6 at Lafayette Square Mall. You can also drop off donations at several sites across central Indiana, including participating Applebee's and U-Store facilities. For a full list of locations and times, you can head to our website, theindychannel.com, and click on the 6 Shines On Toy Drive link. Here at 5:42, we want to check in with meteorologist Todd Clausen for our bus stop forecast. Hey, Todd.
Yeah, as the kids head off to school this morning. Good morning, Meredith. Good morning, everybody. It's the last day of school here for the week, and it's not a bad day as the temperatures are hovering in the 40s, so you don't need the hat and the gloves this morning. There are a few spotty showers out there that I will mention. I don't think it's anything to soak the kids at the bus stop. It's just going to be a drop of rain here or there, so it's not bad this morning. Better when you come home. It's actually a little bit cooler later on, but the clouds will be in the process of decreasing as the day goes on. And here are these showers. The further south you are, a little better chance of more of a light, steady rain from Indianapolis to the north. It's just a few hit or miss sprinkles. Today, those temperatures hold pretty steady in the 40s. And then look what happens over the weekend. Tomorrow's a seasonable day. Our average high is 42, and that's what this yellow line is. Sunday and Monday are nice and mild. We're up into the 50s, and then the cold front goes through Tuesday into Wednesday. Temperatures drop dramatically. By Wednesday, we're talking about highs only in the 20s. We'll lay it all out for you in your 7-day planning forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you so much. The impeachment process continues as the House decides to move forward with proceedings. Coming up, the next steps being taken in the impeachment inquiry.
And 4 people are dead after a police chase involving a UPS truck. Still ahead, how the high-speed chase led to a shootout. We'll be right back.
Sit. I said sit.
The time now is 5:46. After 2 months of investigation, the House will move to impeach President Trump. The investigation is started after it was revealed that the president asked Ukraine to investigate his political rival, Joe Biden, and the administration withheld nearly $400 million in military aid to the country. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi had initially resisted the move, but says the president left her no choice but to act. Republicans argued this was the Democrats' plan all along. The House Speaker told a reporter the decision isn't personal. It's all about, she says, the Constitution.
You hate the president, Madam Speaker?
I don't hate anybody. This is about the Constitution of the United States. I don't hate anyone. So don't mess with me when it comes to words like that.
On Monday, Democrats leading the impeachment investigation will present their evidence before the committee that is now drafting the articles of impeachment. With this timeline, it's possible the president could be impeached by the House before Christmas. A trial of the Senate is set to follow, possibly in January.
Thousands more American troops could be deployed to the Middle East in a show of force aimed towards Iran. The move comes after Iran recently transferred short-range missiles into Iraq. The Iranian missiles could pose a threat to U.S. forces and threaten Saudi Arabia. U.S. military officials say they will potentially send 4,000 to 7,000 more troops to the region. Pentagon officials are still discussing what will be needed to deter Iran and for how long.
This here was simply a wild scene. 4 people dead, including a UPS driver and a bystander, after an armed robbery ended in a massive high-speed chase in South Florida. The chase began in Coral Gables, where police were called to a shooting and a robbery at a jewelry store. Police say 2 suspects, they hijacked a UPS truck and then took the driver along for the chase. After chasing the truck for 25 miles, police swarmed that truck in traffic, which then led to a shootout. Police say both suspects were killed. 2 other people had minor injuries from a vehicle crash during that incident. None of the law enforcement officers were injured. The time now is 5:49 on this Friday. Let's check your Friday morning forecast. Todd Clausen, fill us in. Good news?
It's not bad news in the forecast today. It's a little cooler yesterday and definitely not as bright sky, especially throughout the morning hours today. On my drive into work, there were just a few raindrops on my windshield. I didn't even have to put the windshield wipers on, and you're going to encounter the same thing, especially here in some northern locations and southern locations. We'll start down to the south, where the showers, we'll call them a little more numerous here as you work your way from Shoals to Bedford over into the Seymour area. And then as we slide to the north, you notice a few areas of very, very light green near Tipton, a few more near Marion, over towards the Portland area, down into Winchester. Barely going to wet the roadways, so don't be shocked if you see an isolated shower as you take the kids out to the bus stop. There's a few drops of rain, but we are not going to deal with anything significant this morning. The bulk of this rainfall, it's just moving from west to east, and it's just going to scoot through southern Indiana. So unless your travels take you down towards the Louisville area and further to the south, it's not going to impact you whatsoever during the course of the morning commute. Temperature-wise, we're in the 40s and 50s right now. 51 in Martinsville as well as Bloomington, 49 in Indianapolis. That's up a degree from last hour. It's 48 in Muncie, and a little cooler off towards the east in Richmond at 37 degrees. This is about as warm as the temperatures are going to get throughout the day today. What's going to happen is with the clouds in place this morning, temperatures are going to hold pretty steady, and then as the clouds start to break apart, even though we get into some sunshine, which will help to make it feel better, the actual temperatures will go down a couple degrees, and we'll be in the mid-40s here throughout the course of the afternoon and into the evening hours. So temperatures don't really do a whole lot from start to finish throughout the day today, and then once the sun sets, we will cool off back down into the 30s. So if you do have plans this Friday evening, sunset is at 5:21. You'll definitely have to have the jacket handy. Looking ahead to your weekend, Saturday, 44 degrees. It's dry. It's a little on the cool side, but that 44 is actually seasonable for this time of year. 51 on Sunday. It's warmer. Showers late, and by late, I'm talking about after sunset, and that's going to lead into what will be a wet Monday. But for the as a whole, the weekend is going to be pretty dry. Here comes the rain on Monday. At this point, it looks to be fairly light, but also fairly steady throughout the course of the day. So Monday, plan ahead to have the umbrella handy behind that storm system. Much colder air, though. Wednesday and Thursday, low temperatures in the teens, high temperatures only in the 20s.
Todd, thank you so much. As we take a look at your commute this morning, good morning to our friends in Westfield, Barkersville, and Avon. A live look from our INDOT camera at I-70 at the North Split. As you can see, traffic is heavy this morning as folks are coming into work, but all systems across the interstate system are well. No major traffic problems to report.
Costco is known for selling things in bulk, and now a popular plant-based burger will be one of those things. Beyond Meat announced it will offer its burgers in a pack of 8 for the first time compared to its usual 2. The product will cost $15, but it won't be at every Costco store. The exact locations haven't been announced yet. Brands like Kroger, Nestle, and Kellogg have also started testing sales for their plant-based burgers.
Next on Good Morning Indiana, 2 men are now coming out with an album about their friends in their retirement community. After the break, what got their music started? That story, much more next, right here on RTV6.
Find new gifts at every turn at Kohl's.
What started as a poem is now a full music album created by 2 old friends. 102-year-old Alan Tripp and his friend Marvin Weisbord created the album called the Senior Songbook together at a Pennsylvania retirement community. It began when Tripp wrote a poem called Best Old Friends. He wrote it to celebrate all of his new friends at the retirement home. His neighbor Weisbord then set it to music, and the rest is history. Before they knew it, a whole community joined together to sing along with them, creating the album. They describe the music as being like the 1940s, but with words for the 2020s. All right. Well, that sounds like a great hit. That is what I'm going to put in both your stockings this Christmas.
I wonder what song you would write about us, about me, Todd, and Lauren when you get to be 30, you know, and we retire. Think about it. Would it be a hit? I know Todd Clawson
you put me on the spot here. For once in my life, I'm speechless.
For once, you're quiet.
I know Todd would do a country song, probably. He'd be strumming on that banjo of his.
It'd either be country or like old classic rock and roll. One of the two.
Todd, you're a hit all the time, so...
none of this pop stuff. All right, outside right now, we're dealing with temperatures in the 40s and 50s. 52 in Bloomington, 49 in Indy. So it's mild this morning, but we are dealing with some spotty showers. It looks worse on radar, though, than it actually is. It's really just a few sprinkles here or there. We'll have clouds this morning, then we'll thin the clouds for afternoon sunshine, with temperatures holding pretty steady in the mid-40s. We'll talk more about your news headlines, your traffic, and your extended weather forecast coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues. The time now is 5:57. Stay with us. We'll be right back.